limiting the tank pool a bit. Obviously, we did just see Sign pull out the Anubarak, but it is kind of pinching the pool here.
Yeah.
And I think if CE do target that Anubarak later in the draft and maybe perhaps pick a tank early in the rotation here, it could be quite dangerous for Tempest. Kind of a little bit greedy for this Genji.
Yeah, that's a really good point that you bring up, and one that I'd like to see CE find a way to be able to punish this. It wouldn't put Tempest into a, lose-lose scenario by any means, but definitely on the back foot a little bit onto a draft. And anytime you can find a way to say that as a accurate statement against a Korean team, I'm going to call that a big win. But we do end up seeing the Raynor and Urel coming through there. A bit slower, a bit safer there between the two, but I mean an absolute ridiculous amount of DPS there from Jimmy.
And with the Jimmy, I think they will have a different play style compared to what we saw from Game 1, where Phoenix was just off to where Urel could not really peel for him. Reyna was just standing in the back, providing the damage that he can do. Certainly the same, but the problem will be Signs and Nubrak. Once again, they have to really get the information and just understand the range and the timing that he would dive in, along with some CC that could be provided with the last 2 picks from Tempest. But they do have the Urel changing the play style. They could make it work even against Genji from Tempest here.
I do think a very nice adaptation here, picking up the Anubarak for Tempest, recognizing that the tank pool, obviously they've shown the Anubarak in Game 1, which I think is a very clear indicator of their meta. So I think it's very wise for them to earlier pick that Anubarak this time, because CE will now be aware of that pick. So they could have easily banned the Anubarak and picked another tank, and then had Sign down to, some of the more or less popular off-meta tanks.
Yeah, getting onto, kind of that awkward solo material, things of the like there. Verdant going to be taken away, though, and as you said, it works both ways a little bit here, Snitch, doesn't it? Because if I ended up committing it to the 2-3, and then what if I want to ban out a Warrior, especially one so key, not only within the meta, but to China. Murden is, that is the backup go-to there. Sitting next to Diablo with the Dahaka as well for the offlane taken off the table. This is just, I can't help but feel like a very concerning moment here for CE as we do end up finding Win moving to that solo Tyrael.
So with this guy, with the Tyrael, I'm pretty sure he can provide all that shield for the back line to provide some safety for the damage coming out from Reynor's for Stukov as well. They do have lots of CC with Urel Stukov. That might be enough with the silence to actually provide the damage. I wonder what the final pick is going to be from CE. But Tempest, in knowing those information, they do have to break through. Genji might not be the best choice when there's a shield from Tyrael now. So they do go with the Phoenix, providing the extra CC with Blaze. I like the setup from Tempest here.
And to me, looking at CE's draft, this really just screams Maiev to me. Got through the whole draft here, all the way to the bottom. I think this could definitely be a very solid last pick for them. I actually go for the Valera. So I think actually kind of fitting the same meta role here is what I'm saying with the Maiev. It's definitely a similar sort of playstyle, but I actually quite like the Valera into some of the matchups that Tempest have. Valera into Genji is a very, very nice matchup. If you get a stealth engage, even standing still, in the corridors like Shrimpy loves to do, we see a lot of Fnatic playing the Valera on Sky Temple, and he loves to just, stand somewhere random and then just catch out. I think, the Genji matchup is very, very nice. The Phoenix matchup is quite nice. Even heroes like Anubarak could struggle against this targeted silence. Because his health pool is so low, if you get a good engage on the Anubarak, he blows up.
Yeah, you're right. It is going to be able to provide a lot of that single target threat, but I guess my question comes in with the difference between that Maiev and to the Valera. Yes, when it comes to the early game and skirmishing, which has been a question, more of a request, if you will, at least on my behalf, towards the Chinese teams. It's going to provide that, but what I do think it struggles is that mid to later stages of the overall team fight itself. If they do not find ways to catch off, in a cheeky positioning there of Tempest, it's going to be a concern. Is that a, accurate and fair assessment there, Snitch, or do you disagree?
I think what I'm more concerned about, honestly, is kind of the way their tank and, their third melee have kind of set up. I'm a little bit concerned about their wave clear more than anything in the early game. I think the Tyrael and the Valera together is maybe going to struggle to actually get the rotation going. Obviously, it's towers, so it's not as important, but controlling that bot lane in the early game is very, very, very significant. And I think not going for the Joanna, which was available, if you were planning on this Valera, could be a little bit risky, because it's definitely, you can highlight here that their wave clear in the 4-man outside of the Stukov is a little bit dangerous. In terms of how they can approach, rotating between the lanes. So I'd be a little bit concerned more, I think, about the early game for me with the Tyrael Valera combo. And I think if they can make it out of that into the team fight stage, their composition will actually be a lot nicer.
That's a really good point that you bring up there, because both end up, kind of having that early game kill potential. But Valera, very much a different case when it comes to our own individual wave clear there. Onto the Maiev, when looking at what we got on the other side of the table, though, it feels very, I don't want to say generic or anything, a standard meta across the board, a little bit of Western, a little bit of Eastern, and what we've seen out of Korea, again, with Sign moving over to the Anubarak. But I feel like a lot of the warrior play we got within those ban phases that you highlighted and the priority in the 2-3 there from Tempest is why it seems like this draft feels very, very comfortable on their behalf. And, you know, to be honest, we've seen Valeria successful at HGC or even at international levels. It's just in a very different manner, I guess, than we see here. Normally, it's kind of with that Abathur focus, you know, kind of catching them off guard and splitting them across the board here. So I just remain pretty skeptical, but I'm looking forward to see what CE has to unfold here.
I think it's got two reasons behind the Valeria pick. First of all, they want to reduce down the amount of rotations that Sign is freely having along the lanes, because once the Valeria is gone from the lane, you do have to be careful. That can actually slow down the rotation from Sign. Can be that who will be actually hiding in some of the bushes. And two, providing some pressure when Genji dives in. He will be silenced. Maybe he will go down along with the target that he wanted to focus on. Maybe he will never get the target because of the silence once he comes in. I think providing those two pressure is the important key for Valeria.
Yeah, we'll find out, though, if it's going to actually come to light, though. Taking a minute to appreciate these votes. A bit more lopsided here in favor of Tempest after that shutout in Game 1. Not too surprising, but it's not as what we saw here in Game number 1, as a Blossom quickly stole the fans' hearts there with 98%.
I guess, you know, there's still some faith in CE. They have a little bit of a crazy draw. Maybe the fans like that. You know, I'm excited to see if they can pull it off.
We'll find out here, ladies and gentlemen. We have game number 2 here between Tempest and CE on Towers of Doom. Down one game, but they've got the Valeria this time. They're going to be able to make it, you know, help keep China's hopes alive here and the success as it is in the blue. CE Timeless is going to be on the Valeria, 365 on Stukov, Wind on Tyrael, Shuyu on Raynor, and 520 on Urel.
And in red, we do have Tempest locked down on Genji. Good playing on Phoenix, Tommy on Blaze, Sign on that Barak, and Hyde on Decker.
Both teams here looking for a very standard approach to the laning situation. Though most people, especially if you're a Western fan, would look at that and be like, you know, obviously you see the clash over to that middle mid-wave. China's one of the most unorthodox laning situation and approaches to level 1 out of any region in the world. They will sometimes go for a 3-2 split on top and bottom. They like to try and catch you off guard and not play that standard. But so far, they're trying to kind of match Tempest and what we expect here from them as a squad. Control of the rotations, though, heavily in favor of Tempest. And that was exactly what we heard Snitch highlight into the draft, that they need to find a way to get Valeria into those rotations very well. But if Tempest is constantly clearing, that's not going to be an easy task.
Valeria rotated up. I think Genji spotted her going up. I think it was just in time that Genji just got into the bush next to the boss. So Tommy, I think he does have the information that Valeria is around him. Just trying to act that he doesn't know right now, not really going for the wave clear. That's why he's not overextending at all. And of course, when you don't have the information, don't never overextend, because you will very likely get killed.
And that's a great point you bring up, because I would argue one of the biggest things that Korea does very, very different from a large majority of the world is their information abuse and rotation through what they do not let you see, and more importantly, the anchoring control and information and how effective they are at abusing that within just a couple of seconds here. Tempest questioning if they want to shark over and maybe invade here over to those sappers, but for now it's going to be a bit of a stalemate here between the two. Dami receives a little bit of pressure there, but Lockdown looking to thwart it out there as he makes that rotation up and deals with those sappers.
Yeah, no big casualties from other teams, but Tempest having a Phoenix here for good, he will actually be providing a lot of siege damage. I think he was trying to look for that siege damage early on, all the way into the game, but because of the top sapper, they could not do so. So they can't really start what they wanted to do, but there's Silence from Timeless coming in with the damage and gets the warp. No, gets not get the warp and gets the kill instead.
Yeah, great job there. The silence coming through from Timeless, as we saw there, but right at the last second with the warp opportunity, Eldruin thrown down along with the smite, and the kill coming through here for CE. First blood in their favor. It's a moment, that skirmish, this is exactly what their composition was built to do, try and make that happen here into the laning phase, but they can't, you know, one kill is not enough here. They very much are looking for 2, 3 there. Great dodge onto that jet propulsor, but 520 is going to need more than that as the rest of the squad is here. He ends up getting the heal, the hammer knockback, but the damage is there. They end up getting the auto through, and he's going to be out of here.
That was almost too close, and that actually showed some promising plays. He was juking away, dodging all the CC like the jet propulsion and some of the Uberak as well, buying enough time for the rotation for CE to come. After that first kill, rotation from CE already so much smoother than game 1.
Yeah, very, very clean here compared to what we ended up getting from them. But we got Alter spawning now. Valera taking that trade with Lockdown. Genji's going to have to get the Swift Strike out as Dami ends up picking up the top right. Decker started the channel there down below, but is actually going to get interrupted and under a bit of siege there from Wind. But there it is. Top left picked up now for CE. We're going to have ourselves a 5 versus 5 as Urel looking to deal with the mid lane and then make the transition down. It's a small advantage for CE. Let's see what they make happen.
This is exactly what Tempest wanted to have. Some control. As long as they delay and get past level 10, I think they have a lot more escape away from Valera. Just having this, as long as they know where she is, there's a focus on Tsuyu right now. Reina priming the escape, but that's not happening so far.
Yeah, that Urel hammer pushing them against the wall. Very high impact there, but look at that. The damage onto Rainer. 1-to-1 trade here between the two teams. 520 with another hammer coming right through. As Decker throwing out the potions over. 365 starts the channel, but it's interrupted there. Switch strike with that burrow charge coming through. 365 trying to cut away. Dami and friends locking it down, looking to begin the pick. They do there with that reflect, but the HP so very low. Timeless body block to death. 520 gets them the slap with the hammer out. Silence comes through, and they get the kill there. 3-man knockback coming out from Tempest here. It is an absolute bloodbath.
Love that they want to look for more kills. I think the fight is almost over now, though, but they're looking for more.
You
Dami
say
goes
that.
in, 520 gets stunned and gets more kills, but already the ones that died in the beginning of the team fight are back into the team fight.
Good's coming in here, and he's ready to make the damage happen there. Shielding still available. 520 tries to put him back there with the hammer. And when all the fireworks settle, Tempest only up that one kill. That Alter still very much alive here for the teams to contest. Can't help but feel like Initiation 1, Tempest was not satisfied with how clean it happened, and they're going to try and change that here over the next Shrine. Blaze actually not making the rotation all the way towards top, so this shows Tempest, they're not so confident they can make this happen.
This is actually a great setup for CE, making sure they have Tsuyu to be baited onto the team with hold on and
Hide.
CE tied.
But Timeless has to get the dodge out along with the jet propulsion from Dami. Two members of CE are just removed here. Win trying to get the escape. He will have Eldrunes in a moment. But my goodness here, jet propulsion out from Dami along with the switch strike. That's going to be a reset for Lockdown. Actually, no reset. Didn't die fast enough. Has to use the passive. Or just, you know, use the teamwork there, take out the sidewall, and call it a day. Shots picked up, and Tempest gained massive control over that Alter.
For the team fight, the C actually had a great setup, making sure the Timeless can actually do his own thing with the Valera, trying to snipe onto one as an assassin, making sure they keep Tsuyu alive with the Rainer, providing some damage as well. They have the shield, they have a lot of peel, and the Stukov healing as well. So CE, they actually had a really, really good team fight against Tempest. The second one that happened about 15 seconds ago, they were just a little bit too early. Timeless got a little bit too excited trying to do something alone, not without the team in this case, so they have to fall.
They do end up falling there, and it costs them so much when looking at that experience. Hold up, though. Invade 365 gets the knock up, scroll ceiling through, and that is going to be a kill there for Tempest. Not too difficult for them with that kind of mismatch in the lanes. It's going to cause a Valera gank up top. They absolutely need the silence there. Dami, jet propulsion's available. Somebody's got to block that. And with Timeless not willing to kind of dash in front of it, there's an easy escape. 10's picked up. Bottom bell tower control over the Tempest. And, I mean, the world is theirs.
They got one. This is only a start, and they do have a lead, massive lead by now, because they knew the Sappers on the top was taken. There had to be Valera on top or someone else, so they knew that information. They went into the opposite side of the Sappers because they were going to outnumber anyhow. Diving in, got the kill, even having a bigger of a lead with the Sapper plus the bell tower now. And this is a big problem. As CE, they do have Rainer, but without Rainer, they can't really dive into the bell tower and try to take that siege damage too much.
Jet propulsion is going to be available once that silence goes down. Bunker actually is the first to use, and look at that body block from 520. Great job there. Bunker exit number 2, though, takes the other direction. Silence comes through as a jet propulsion, but it's going to be back up, actually, as the silence used. The flame with that oil. Reset attempt for Lockdown. He will not get it, but he will end up using the shuriken for the kill. Look at Sign there, coming through with that flank G-Clef. Shots picked up. I mean, Tempest is literally dismantling CE here, ladies and gentlemen. There are shots on bottom being picked up by Phoenix, 5 of them. Kills up on top on a mismatch, 4 versus 3. At this point, they are just done with this game. Turnover to the boss. It is just unreal
Every
here.
move from Tempest. Hyde actually had to stay a while and listen to the left just in case just in case Hero actually leaps to the left instead. So they actually had Rel secured for the kill. Anyhow, reading a step ahead for individual players. They're just making some crazy individual decisions here. And that's why they're leading.
It is very much why they are such in a dominant control here. Boss gonna be locked down. 4 more shots, move over. 23 reside on the core of CE. With the bell tower conversion, CE has to make a play with the 13 window, and I can't help but feel like it's got to be over this defense from Tempest. They need to be careful with that flank, but maybe a Valera, you know, kind of catching somebody out of position. Hold up, there comes the Judgment with the Hyperion, but look at that, they just turned on to shoot you. X-Strike drop, and Raynor is just put to sleep.
And not even half of the Dami's HP is out, actually. They do have the Cocoon on this massive stun with the 3 members. They're getting massive damage with the DPS, plus for the bunker, Lockdown goes in with the Strip Strike, gets out with it too.
Fancy feet here from Lockdown. 29 seconds until we are going to have the next altar phase. CE will have members. Hold up, though. 520. He steps out a little bit too far, forcing the Ardent Defender. And Tempest are going to say that is a fat worth on that one. Sitting behind your wall of death, and you're going to use the 2-minute cooldown to survive as the altar spawn on top with the 13 talents here just around the corner. Tempest is just unleashing here, ladies and gentlemen, in their first series of the Eastern Clash.
The massive power CE had the advantage. It seemed like their rotation was working with Valera just rotating top. Tempest understanding that after the moment. And when they hit 10 first, they were just snowballing this game like crazy. Look at that. They're going for the altar. Timeless trying to stop it, but not going to happen exactly. Judgment still on cooldown. Yeah,
Timeless still kind of stuck on an island, though, while Lockdown tries to split the seas. Timeless ends up using the dash out, but look at that. Sign's not letting it happen with that knock-up, and there's going to be Timeless actually dropping here after that blind gets wasted down. And now, can CE hold on there? As there's 4 shots onto this altar. Jet propulsion there from Dami, and it looks like shots consumed. 14 remain for CE, and Tempest will end up backing out.
Because they do have to send Raynor to close the bottom. I believe the sappers were coming in for the damage.
They were.
They had to get at least 1 member, so that's why they created this. Tempest is creating a situation where they have to, there's almost 90% guaranteed win because they will outnumber the teammates of CE all the time because they have a lead, just using the advantage they have, and CE is just following that all the time. I think they have to try something else. Timeless is trying something else, but he's oftentimes alone, and that cannot really happen too many times in the game.
Yeah, and that is, I feel like often some of the mentality that we see out of, you know, players that play onto those stealth heroes looking for that one shot, that's what they're built to do. But at the same time, there is that trade-off of, like, you know, if somebody was there that you didn't expect, or you're just out a little bit too far, suddenly the Valera, you know, as we saw, it just seems like she is 1 versus 4 the rest of the squad. He did an amazing job surviving as long as he could. But as we saw, Sign not dealing with it there. We do end up seeing that huge Planet Cracker going to get thrown down. Judgment actually used a lot of damage there on the hide, and they end up getting the kill here. CE turning things around, but it is not done yet. Is that jet propulsion is used there onto Timeless. Massive shove coming through, pushing them away. Will Timeless initiate once more? He's trying to, but he's not going to get anything, at least not yet here. Tempest down a man along with CE, but they are not afraid of anything here.
They lost the Deckard, so they lost the Saints. He was trying to force them out by pressuring a little bit further in. But of course, Tempest has a lot of utility. They can just escape with the Warp, the dash, and the Borrow Charge and Jet Propulsion, the 4-man. Except for the one that does not have any utility, Deckard went down, so they can just escape easily. And see, I believe they were trying to look for more kills, but the silence did not really connect too perfectly for them.
The time is now.
Dami gonna show on mid while Anubarak actually capturing on bottom. 520 gonna interrupt Sign there on the bottom half. Transitions, it looks like, here towards mid, as we do see Raynor continuing the channel there. He's not gonna have it happen, but oh my goodness, a lot of damage there on the 520. Silence actually used onto Decker. They're trying to get the kill onto Hyde. Bunker, or excuse me, Cocoon is going to be used. Timeless trying to skirt on by and find a way to survive. Stay a while, and Liz is Timeless now is gonna be stuck out. He ends up using the silence and the stealth, but nowhere to escape here, as there's still 2 altars up. CE down a member, and a lot of shots for Tempest.
And Timeless really costing the entire team what's happening as Judgment goes in, but the entire focus is on Zuyu. Raynor does survive for now. There's no one that's actually looking on providing a great silence so that he survives right here.
Oh, Blaze pops the passive. You know he wanted to go in, but 520 actually gave him the slap there with that hammer. Sign using that Burrow Charge perfectly, body blocking 365 against the wall. Massive shove comes out, but when you're sitting right next to the wall, that's not going to push too far. Deflex from Lockdown do not end up getting that. 520 feels like what is going to be the last man standing here for the squad. And I say that as he is not, in fact, standing, G-Clef. This is just ridiculous. Tempest playing with their food here in massive control here in game number 2. I mean, what do you do at this point for CE? It feels like, it, you know, with the 16 picked up and so far behind in shots, that Tempest, it very much is going to be their game.
It's really hard. They have the boss. Boss just came back, so making sure they control the sappers and making sure at least possibly even one going on. This is their chance to try to have some pick
They
off.
gotta go. Sign. Actually waited there. He had that bro charge the entire time, ladies and gentlemen. So that shows, like, once the silence ended up dropping that entire time, he's like, can I bait somebody? Are they going to overextend a little bit too far? Not the case, at least not yet. As Good ends up making the transition down. You did see Timeless maybe in a position to be able to catch out Good. Lockdown constantly throwing out those shuriken to try and get a reveal onto Timeless. There he is over the wall, but if he shows it whatsoever, you know Tempest is going to immediately turn on him. There's the cocoon. See
Let's see if they actually focus, because for now they don't exactly focusing on the Genji. Instead, Enzu will be very likely be deleted, but does survive with the Inspire there.
Platinum Cracker got a lot of value. Silence actually used onto Hyde. Tempest backing out here as we see the hammer actually hitting 3 of them. Genji's going to be first to chop. Look at all the members of CE so very low. Sign ends up hitting the impale. Not able to get the kill there. 1-for-1 here between the two teams. 520 locked down. Another to drop. We'll see the scrollless ceiling thrown down, but they do not get it. Sappers make their way in only one.
Only one, and that's 2. And that's enough. They have the boss. They can just go straight to the boss, and that will be the end of the game here. As CE, they tried their best with Timeless diving in. He was always off to the side, trying to look for target. Genji, in this case, barely got the dash out of there just in time where he was actually silenced. So that was a cool interaction there, but just in time. That just shows the reflexes that these players have at the moment.
Yeah, it was also kind of, you know, a cheeky play to be able to make sure the Tyrael gets himself as far out of position as possible with that switch strike. Yrel is going to be alive along with Genji, but look at that. Phoenix posturing over bottom with nobody on the side of CE showing any interest at all, as long as Phoenix starts this channel, which Good, in fact, will. Ladies and gentlemen, Tempest is going to take game number 2 here on Towers of Doom in very, very dominant fashion and take the series over CE.
Such a powerful showcase here from Tempest. This is how they started with the best of 3. 2 games in, they got the game now. We have a massive crowd, of course, home field advantage. Pretty sure a lot of Tempest fans out there. You see the logos here.
There actually are a surprising amount of Tempest fans, I feel like, here for me. You know, finally coming over to see the South Korean crowd. It's absolutely amazing to see the support here that they have for the squad. But Snitch, after that performance we had there from Tempest, what do you think? What are your thoughts here? Not only maybe for them moving forward throughout the tournament, but, you know, some of the sights that we've gotten even more so here from CE.
I think we have to highlight how well they adapted to this Valeria. I mean, Timeless X definitely had its moments in this game. I think much better performance than game 1. I ended up quite liking their draft and the way it played out. We saw that huge skirmish on the early Shrine phase. I think it went to like level 8 or level 9.
Yeah.
Right? It lasted forever. But Tempest played very calm, very collected, you know, waiting for their cooldowns, making the right engages. And I mean, I think we could just, you know, you saw how patient they played, how ready they were to sync with each other. They just looked very, very solid as far as, you know, the Korean teams go.
And I actually have a really curious question around that middle fight. It might be a little bit too far in the past for you to totally elaborate on it, but, you know, you see the trade go out, it happen, 2 for 2. You get the reset and kind of get that reinitiation. If you were CE, did you feel like the reinitiation is that go-to, or after that first even trade, do you go, you know what, we're going to wait it out and try and make this go later? Because it was an even game until that fight. Then after the second initiation, it went from a quarter-level lead to here's a full-level lead dominance.
I mean, it's tough to say, right? It's like a judgment call at the moment. Maybe they thought they could take that fight. You know, they thought the skirmish would be better for them. I agree, resetting may have been nicer for them, especially in hindsight. You know, after we saw the way it turned out, it's, you know, it's nice to see. It's easy to say, like, yeah, could have reset, waited a bit more, had another 5v5 maybe. But I mean, I kind of still respect the decision. You know, they have a lot of really like powerful skirmish heroes. Like a lot of their heroes, you know, they sustain themselves quite well. You know, I think taking the skirmish, you know, with the heroes they had wasn't too terrible, but it didn't work out, and obviously they just completely faltered from there.
And what about you, Jay Clef, here? Now that we got Tempest, I think it's an expected result from them, especially knowing that CE, again, ladies and gentlemen, is not playing with their standard roster, have 2 subs coming in here, trying to make it work. But again, with Tempest, you know, were you surprised with the level of play? Is there anything, you know, that you're looking forward from them as the tournament kind of evolves?
I think that this is exactly what we're going to see, Tempest. Even if they actually have some problems at the beginning of the game, they will have some feedback super fast in the game before pre-10 or about level 10. They will have some adaptation, making sure, oh, this guy's looking for me, so I'll be on the back guy's cover for me, and then try to have better positioning so you actually survive. Try to draw that onto your own advantage, and that's why they started to get the kills actually on the Valera alone, because it actually drew out Timeless away from his entire team, so that they could actually focus fire on Valera alone, getting the kill. 5v4, you know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, isolation and make it happen here. Tempest had an amazing performance there, but we're gonna go ahead and hear from Tempest as we throw it over to Tetra with an interview.
All right, so I am here with Good. You just won round number 1 of the Eastern Clash. How are you feeling right now?
우선 지금 승리하신 소감이 어떠신가요?
첫 경기를 2대0으로 깔끔하게 마무리해서 기분이 되게 좋아요.
I feel really great for winning the first round with a clean score.
All right, so CE brought out some interesting picks there with the Valera and the Asmodan. Did you have to adjust your strategy or your drafts in any way when you saw those?
CE팀이 상당히 특이한 조합을 아즈모단이나 발리라 같은 특이한 조합을 가지고 왔는데요. 그걸 봤을 때 혹시 전략을 변경하셨나요?
CE가 되게 준비를 많이 해왔다고 생각을 했고 근데 저희 하는 것만 하면 이길 수 있다 생각했기 때문에 그냥 하던 대로 해서 이긴 것 같아요.
So when I first saw that, I felt that CE has done a lot of preparations, but we felt that if we play as we in our normal form, that we should be able to win, and that's what happened.
All right, so finally your next opponent is going to be against Blossom. Do you have anything prepared and do you have any message for them?
다음 상대는 이제 블라썸이 될 텐데요. 혹시 준비하신 게 특별히 있는지, 그리고 또 블라썸에게 하고 싶은 말이 있는지 알고 싶습니다.
준비한 거는 뭐 있기는 하고요. 블라썸이랑 붙는데 블라썸도 잘하는 팀이지만 저희가 아마 이기지 않을까 생각합니다.
Yeah, so we did prepare something special, which I won't say here now. But as for Blossom, it's a really strong team, but I think we'll be the winner.
All right, well, thank you very much for talking to me. Everyone else, stay tuned, as coming up next is going to be Gen G versus Beyond the Game. That's coming up next. Stay tuned.
When Lordaeron fell to the Scourge, few were affected more than the Knights of the Silver Hand. After their disbandment, many retreated to an ancient monastery in the hills of Tirisfal and formed the Scarlet Crusade, swearing to eradicate the undead and all who would aid them. As High Inquisitor, Sally Whitemane leads the Crusade in their fight against the menace of undeath, purifying its corruption wherever it takes root. Whitemane is an aggressive ranged support that bolsters healing to her allies by damaging her enemies. Whitemane's trait, Zeal, allows her to provide healing for her allies. Teammates that are healed by her abilities receive the Zeal buff. For a short period of time, allies with Zeal will heal for a large percentage of damage that the Inquisitor dishes out. Desperate Plea is Whitemane's first ability. When used, she heals an ally for a small amount and infuses them with Zeal. The ability has almost no cooldown. However, Whitemane is inflicted with Desperation each time she uses it. Desperation stacks up to 3 times and will greatly increase the mana cost of Desperate Plea. Whitemane's W ability, Inquisition, provides consistent damage and in return, consistent healing by way of Zeal. When cast, Whitemane channels a beam that damages and slows enemy heroes, allowing allies to secure a pick on enemies that are in retreat. Her E ability, Searing Lash, is Whitemane's main source of damage. Searing Lash damages all enemies in a line and will strike a second time if an enemy hero is hit. Due to its short cooldown, it can be used to poke enemy heroes and delay objective captures. Whitemane's first heroic, Scarlet Aegis, calls upon the light to grant zeal, armor, and a heal to all nearby allies. This can be used in a pinch to mitigate incoming AoE damage and help provide a window for extra team healing through zeal. Whitemane's second heroic ability is Divine Reckoning. After a slight delay, she unleashes Holy Wrath upon all enemies in a large area and deals continuous damage for a short time. Due to the ability's size, Divine Reckoning is a great way to quickly heal teammates with zeal and provide a burst of damage that will give your allies the edge in a team fight. Whitemane's effectiveness as a healer comes from her ability to deal damage to enemy heroes. Remember to utilize the zeal buff on your allies in team fights in order to maximize your healing potential. Whitemane's level 1 talent, Clemency, grants her the option to cast Inquisition on her teammates for a more direct heal. Due to desperation, mastering Whitemane requires proper management of your mana while healing multiple targets. Thankfully, she has several talents at level 4 that help to mitigate this. Unwavering Faith reduces the cost of Desperate Plea and provides a shield at maximum desperation. High Inquisitor removes desperation and restores mana when Inquisition is used, and Indulgence returns mana when heroes are hit by Searing Lash. When playing against Whitemane, keep in mind that she does not have a practical escape. Dive the backline and put pressure on her in order to take her out of action or force a retreat that leaves her teammates vulnerable. In addition to the slow on her W ability, Whitemane has other options for disrupting enemy movement. At level 13, Harsh Discipline roots enemy heroes that are damaged by Searing Lash while Inquisition is active on them. At level 20, Judgment Day causes all enemy heroes hit by Divine Reckoning to be pulled to the center, making it all the more difficult to escape their trial by fire.